This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Gary Lane. This will be the first weekend in a month and a half that Israel will not be receiving hostages back. Both the U.S. and Israel are sending top negotiators to Cairo to enable the continuation of the agreement and the return of the remaining hostages. CBN's Paul Strand has that story.
The Gaza ceasefire is set to end this weekend unless negotiators can quickly work out an agreement to continue it. Israel is sending a team to talks in Cairo to try to work out such an agreement.
We are ready to make the framework longer in a return to release of more hostages.
America's top Mideast negotiator, Steve Witkoff, is headed to the region to push for extending the ceasefire, and he's clear that Hamas cannot remain in the key areas because of its terrorism.
There's no room for Hamas in Gaza, in the West Bank. You can see from their actions that they haven't earned that right to be there.
Hamas is refusing to disarm. Sa'ar says Israel can't put up with that.
This is, from our point of view, total unacceptable.
Israel's defense minister agrees Hamas must no longer be allowed to govern or have the means to fight in Gaza.
Hamas will not remain in control of Gaza, neither for civil matters nor military. It will not be because it cannot be.
Katz also says Israel won't withdraw from the vital Philadelphia corridor, which Hamas used to smuggle in weapons.
The IDF is maintaining a defined buffer zone in Gaza.
Israel's long-term goal is to prevent Hamas from having the weapons to again attack the Jewish nation. But a Wall Street Journal report says Hamas is ready to return to guerrilla warfare in Gaza if the ceasefire ends. It's recruited thousands of new troops, has appointed new commanders, and has turned unexploded ordnance into deadly IEDs to blow up Israeli troops. And in the U.S., a leading U.S. congressman is now making a change on the area commonly known as the West Bank. He says his committee staff should now call it Judea and Samaria, the biblical names for that part of Israel. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Brian Mast writes in a memo to the committee, "Jewish roots in this region span centuries, and we must recognize that fact in both word and deed." He adds Congress needs to recognize Israel's rightful claim to the cradle of Jewish civilization. On the ground, at least 10 people were wounded in a ramming attack at a bus stop in central Israel Thursday, apparently carried out by a Palestinian who was living illegally in Israel. Israel is concerned about an outbreak of terror attacks in Judea and Samaria. The Muslim fasting month of Ramadan begins as early as tonight. Often there has been an upsurge in terror attacks during that time. Paul Strand, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Back here at home, President Trump is set to meet with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy at the White House to discuss minerals and the war with Russia. Zelenskyy's visit comes a day after the president met with UK's Prime Minister about the war. CBN Washington correspondent Michelle London has the latest from Washington.
President Trump and Mr. Zelenskyy are expected to sign this economic deal today, which would give the U.S. a share of profits from Ukraine's minerals. The deal is part of a broader ceasefire effort to end the 3-year-long war. Today's meeting comes after the president sat down with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom Thursday.
This is a letter from His Majesty the King. It's an invitation for a second state visit. This is really special. This has never happened before.
A special invitation from King Charles III for a second UK visit, accepted by President Trump. But the top focus for British leader Keir Starmer and Trump surrounded today's high-stakes meeting with Zelenskyy.
We're going to be signing really a very important agreement for both sides because it's really going to get us into that country. We'll be working.
This agreement between the president and Zelenskyy would give the U.S. access to Ukraine's deposits of critical rare earth minerals. Trump indicated the deal would serve as a backstop for Ukraine's security, as Ukraine hopes the U.S. continues to provide much-needed military support.
And I have a feeling it's going to work out very well. They're talking about a very long-term, powerful lease, a very strong lease, about 140 years, actually.
But some analysts have raised questions about how many rare earth deposits Ukraine actually has, and there are concerns some are in a territory controlled by Russia. Details on this plan aren't yet clear. But according to Ukraine's prime minister, it could include 5 rare minerals there. The U.S. and Kyiv would manage a fund for those deposits on equal terms. He says Ukraine would contribute 50% of future proceeds to this fund from state-owned mineral resources plus oil and gas. The fund would then invest in Ukraine-focused projects.
We need the rare earth, and we have some here, but we don't have enough. Our economy is very strong, and We need a lot of things that, in some cases, we don't have here.
But some Thursday voiced concern that this backstop isn't strong enough to permanently prevent future invasions.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask, Mr. Starmer, Prime Minister, has said that he believes that Vladimir Putin would be at risk of invading Ukraine again without a sufficient backstop. Do you think that Vladimir Putin would be likely to invade again in the event of a peace deal?
I don't think so. Thousands of people are being killed a week. Number one, we want to see that stop. And number two, I want to stop paying the kind of money that we're talking about. You know, we're helping, and we're helping NATO, but we're helping a lot, more than anybody else by far.
When asked if Ukraine will join NATO as part of this deal,
I could be very nice and say, oh, well, we'll work toward it. Look, it's not going to happen.
Ahead of Starmer's visit, the UK announced a big increase in the British defense budget and has agreed to help enforce peace once a deal is made. Meanwhile, President Trump said the deal with Ukraine would help American taxpayers get their money back for aid sent to Ukraine throughout the war. Michelle London, CBN News, Washington.
Despite talks of ending the war, Russia continues attacking Ukraine's power grid, causing rolling blackouts for millions facing bitter winter temperatures. Chuck Colton reports from Kharkiv.
While Russia has targeted the electrical grid here since the start of the war, bombardments have focused in recent months on critical power infrastructure. The damage speaks for itself. Here at one of the country's largest thermal power plants, after 7 cruise missiles destroyed these huge generators, now workers are scrambling to salvage whatever they can.
We have been visiting, in fact, nine stations that are critical for the safe functioning of the nuclear power plants. And of course, the situation is quite dire. We should not hide the fact, and as you can see behind us, this infrastructure has been degraded.
Nuclear power provides much of the electricity here, and those plants rely on a functional grid to operate safely. Experts warn damage to key substations could force reactors to shut down, leading to a full-blown energy crisis.
A nuclear accident can come with a direct attack on a nuclear power plant, but it can also be the result of a disruption in the power grid. And this substation is a critical part of that network that you have here in Ukraine. So when a substation like this is affected or is prevented from operating in a normal way, then you can have a very serious situation.
This thermal power generation plant was one of the largest ones in the entire Kyiv region, and it was completely destroyed in April by a Russian missile strike. Some of the machines in there are so large and they were so totally destroyed, they're probably never going to be able to repair them. And so they're going to a new kind of strategy, which is to create a distributed power generation network all over the country that will make it much harder for Russia to knock out.
This spring, Russia destroyed 100% of our generation facility. So today we invite all investors with some unique proposal. We want to get dozens of small generators from 10 till 25, 30 megawatts.
As Ukraine works to rebuild its infrastructure, the human cost of the war continues to rise. Almost 13 million Ukrainians, more than a third of the population, will need humanitarian aid this year. As negotiations pick up, boosted by the new Trump administration, power company employees work to keep the lights on.
We have very experienced personnel, we have all grids, we have natural gas, we have everything. So we want to invite investors to deploy these small generators in our power station. But most important, what we can provide for investors to attract them, we will buy 100% electricity, but they will produce.
At a recent UN meeting, the U.S. explained what is at stake.
For the sake of peace, we allowed Russia to hold 20% of Georgia. For the sake of peace, we allowed Russia to occupy Crimea. We all want peace, but an outcome that rewards Putin for Russia's aggression is no peace at all.
From Kharkiv, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Coming up, an oasis in a food desert. We'll take you to a grocery that's providing fresh, healthy, and affordable options in an area forgotten by the big box supermarkets.
Get the inside scoop on Washington politics from the DC Debrief podcast. Don't miss this unique CBN News perspective straight from the nation's capital, because truth matters.
More than 23 million Americans live in what's known as food deserts. These are areas that are usually low-income communities that don't have big supermarkets to provide affordable, healthy food. One father and son is bringing change to such a community. Their grocery store has become an oasis that has transformed the lives of its customers. Charlene Aaron reports.
E. Palmer Supermarket here in Norfolk, Virginia is in the Berkeley section of the city. Complete with fresh fruit and vegetables, it's become a beacon of hope for an area that went years without a full-service grocery store like this.
There's a lot of seniors in the area, a lot of senior walk-up traffic, so we thought this would be a good area to really get the people the healthy food options that they need.
That led Ezron Palmer and his dad Michael to open E. Palmer Supermarket 3 years ago. Located in the heart of a food desert, they obtained a grant and loan from the city to help launch the business.
None of the big box retailers wanted to come into your food lines, such names like that. So they provided an opportunity with a grant to get it started. So once I graduated from VCU, my father let me know the opportunity. We drafted up a business plan and we were running from there.
Nationwide, more than 23 million people live in these food deserts, which can be found in rural and urban areas. Zooming into a city like Norfolk, Virginia, you might be surprised that an area like this exists, where residents often live more than a mile from the nearest supermarket. People here often have little choice other than to buy unhealthy processed food available at nearby convenience stores.
Most of the food in these establishments are ready to eat or commercially packaged goods or highly processed foods. You typically don't find ease of access to like raw fruits and vegetables or whole ingredients.
Dr. Darren Detweiler, a professor specializing in food and agriculture at Northeastern University, says people in these areas face a greater risk of diet-related health conditions.
When we're looking specifically at the health impacts, we have everything from foodborne illnesses to obesity, diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, and other concerns.
That's a major reason E. Palmer offers customers, many who live on a fixed income, incentives for purchasing healthy food.
We try to keep up with our produce as best as we can, getting the freshest produce possible at the good price for our customers. We also offer to our EBT customers 50% off their fruits and vegetables anytime they shop.
I saw the fresh fruits, the fresh vegetables, the fresh meats, the prices. Within this area, if you didn't have this, you have to go way out to get it.
Detweiler says there are a number of reasons why food deserts exist.
Lack of supermarket investment, high real estate costs and zoning laws, supply chain challenges, but also there's some systemic elements, housing discrimination, underdeveloped neighborhoods, even the idea of structural inequalities within communities that have historical and systemic basis in racism.
Something the Palmers are helping to overcome through hard work and faith.
Can't do anything without Christ. Everything through God, and He just helped us throughout the way, keeping faith, making sure that we have everything that we need as far as the knowledge and the strength to continue.
Customers are beyond grateful, such as longtime resident Joan Spalding.
All the other stores are so far, I guess they don't want to come in this neighborhood. But these people here have came in our neighborhood. They give us the best food that we could ever ask for. We have fresh fruits, vegetables, everything. I come here every day. It's like home, and I love it so much.
Others highlight the family-like atmosphere, such as a weekly free breakfast for seniors at the store's on-site restaurant.
This store is very important. Without this store, the community wouldn't be a community.
Feedback that fills this grocer with a sense of fulfillment, knowing he's meeting the needs of many, hopefully for years to come.
It feels great, coming here to see the smiling faces on people, the products we offer with our healthy food options and everything like that. It's really great to know that we have that here for them to come and get whatever they need.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News, Norfolk, Virginia.
Still ahead, 1 in 4 cowboys was a black American. Discover the hidden history of the Wild West. You're watching CBN Newswatch. Welcome back to CBN Newswatch. Many of the men responsible for settling the Old West in the late 1800s were people of color. Historians estimate the 1 in 4 cowboys was a black American. Ephraim Graham traveled to Texas to cover the hidden history and faith stories of black people in the horse industry.
The cowboy is an American icon. Film and television portray gun-toting white men on horseback, braving the rugged conditions of the Wild West.
Oh, come on, Dusty, let's get this over with.
Larry Callis, a lifelong Texas cowboy, tells a more historically accurate version of the past from his Black Cowboy Museum in Rosenberg, Texas. Sharing hidden history is not the way Callis planned to use his unique voice.
I used to be a country and western singer. I lost my voice in 1990. I had some golf smoking. When I lost my voice, I lost my band and I lost my manager. But I'm a Christian first, and I'm a cowboy second. When I opened this museum, I didn't want to open this museum. God asked me to open this museum. I say, God, I can't even talk. Why do you want me to open up a museum? God said, step out in faith.
That step in 2017 has allowed him to share black history with visitors from around the world, putting the names of extraordinary cowboys like Nat Love, Bass Reeves, and Isom Dart back in the discussion about the Wild West.
What do you think happened? Why did we forget? Why were they not celebrated? Because I don't know. I grew up in school, and when they talked about history, it's all about white people.
His expedition into America's history also led him to learn more about his family's past.
My great-great-grandpa was Captain Isaac Newton Mitchell, and he had kids with slaves. And the Mitchells drove cattle from here to Kansas, and they went on the longest trail I've recorded in history. Every time I come in the museum, I just have to say, thank you, God, for showing this. I had no idea. That's what happened. You're what obedience looks like. I guess.
Since 1984, the team behind the Bill Pickett Rodeo has been making space for black cowboys and cowgirls.
Lou Vasson, who is the founder, in 1977 went to Cheyenne, Wyoming, to the largest rodeo in the world. It's called Cheyenne Frontier Dates. And he was sitting there watching the rodeo and very intrigued by it. But what caught his attention is that there was nobody there competing that looked like him.
That experience led Vasson to create the greatest show on dirt.
Here we go, California cowboy, Trey.
Here, events like tie-down roping, bronc riding, and barrel racing take center stage.
We named the Rodeo Association after Bill Pickett because Bill Pickett was one of the most prominent African-American cowboys in our history.
Pickett started working with horses at the age of 5. He created a maneuver called bulldogging that is done in every rodeo across the world. After Vasson's passing in 2015, his wife Valeria Howard Cunningham became CEO.
Has this been a faith walk?
It's been a faith walk. When Lou started the rodeo, everybody told him she was crazy, that it wouldn't be successful. So we had to prove ourselves. Let's fast forward to 2015 when I took over as a black female. Now remember, rodeo is a white man's rodeo. And I am taking over a rodeo as a black female. People were betting against me. Let's just say that.
10 years later, it appears Cunningham is winning that bet and pushing the next generation to success. Tell me about you getting into rodeo. What happened?
Well, since we were a kid, that's when we started to ride horses, and then that's when my dad and my granddad taught us how to rope and stuff, and that's all like when we learned how to swing the rope and all types of stuff.
This family of competing cowboys from Natchez, Mississippi includes 2 sets of twins. So what made you want a black man become a cowboy?
Well, we are the original cowboys. You do your history. And we've always had the love for horses. We've always had the passion. And when I come up, I just fell in and had a love for the sport. And I started my son, and, it started from there.
A passion that lands his grandson first place at today's rodeo. Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Fort Worth, Texas.
Coming up, a planetary parade on the horizon. See how to watch next. The planets align for a magnificent show this week. 7 planets in our solar system will be visible in the evening sky in what's being called a planet parade. The planetary lineup includes Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, and Mars. An astronomy professor at The Ohio State University explains how to see them.
As the moon moves across to the east night after night, it will change its phases. Watch that, really pay attention to that. It's going to then be moving against the background of the planets. We don't normally have them all in the same part of the sky like this. And it will really give you the sense of living in a solar system.
The planet parade happens every few years and certainly helps put Earth's place in the cosmos in perspective. Well, that's it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, which is formerly known as Twitter. We hope you'll be with us next time. Have a great day.